Now in the next question, as you can see here, question number 139, it says that which of the following hormones can play a significant role in osteoporosis? Aldosterone and prolactin, estrogen and parathyroid hormones, progesterone and aldosterone, or parathyroid hormone and prolactin. So, this is also a very direct question from NCERT textbook of the chapter Locomotion and Movement. There we have discussed all the disorder of skeleton and muscular movement, right? So, there you will get the term osteoporosis. So, the hormone which play a significant role in this disorder is, which is a parathyroid hormone and estrogen, and this osteoporosis is a age related disorder. So, which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 2. Estrogen and parathyroid hormones are the hormones which play a significant role in this disorder. Now, let us see the next question. In this question number 140, among the following sets of example for divergent evolution, select the incorrect option. Forelimbs of man, bat and cheetah, brain of bat, man and cheetah, heart of bat, man and cheetah, and the fourth option is eye of octopus, bat and man. So, from this option we have to select the convergent evolution, because the other three options, that is option number 1, 2 and 3, these are the example of divergent evolutions, whereas the last option, that is the eye of octopus, bat and man, this is of the example convergent evolution. So, which among them is the correct answer? That is the option number 4. So, option number 4 is the correct example for convergent evolutions and not the divergent evolutions. So, this is from the chapter Evolutions of class 12. Now, let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, as you can see here, question number 141, which of the following is not an autoimmune disease? Psoriasis, Alzheimer's disease, rheumatoid arthritis or vitiligo. So, we know all these diseases and their definitions, and we have already got the different types of this disease in our chapters. So, which among them will be the correct answer? You know that psoriasis, it is an autoimmune disorder and it is a skin disease where red patches take place. Red and itchy patches occur, alright. And the next is the Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease, it take place because of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. So, because of the decrease in this neurotransmitter acetylcholine, it forms the Alzheimer's disease. So, the patients suffer from very quick memory loss. Next is the rheumatoid arthritis. We know already about this. That is also a autoimmune disorder. And the next is the vitiligo, where there is white patches in the body of the patient. Alright. So, these three, that is 1, 3 and 4, these three are the autoimmune disorder, whereas the option number 2, Alzheimer's disease, is not an autoimmune disorder. So, option 2 is the correct answer, which means that Alzheimer's disease is not an autoimmune disorder and rest of them are autoimmune disorders. So, I hope you will remember this term. Now, let us see the next question. In the next question, question number 142, as you can see here, which of the following characteristic represent inheritance of blood groups in humans? Dominance, codominance, multiple alleles, incomplete dominance or polygenic inheritance. So, we have discussed the human blood group in the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variations from the unit Human Genetics. I hope you have remembered that part. So, which is common to the human blood group? That is the dominance and then codominance and the multiple alleles, whereas the incomplete dominance is not there. Along with this, the polygenic inheritance is also not there. So, which among them is the correct option? Here all the 4 options are given. So, option number 3, A, B and C is the correct option for this question. And I hope you have remembered What was the dominance birth? That is IA, IO, then IB, IO. That says the dominance. Next is IA, IB, that is the codominance, and the multiple alleles, that is the IA, IB and IO for the blood group O. So, these three are present in the inheritance of the blood groups in human. So, A, B and C is the correct answer. So, option number 3 is the correct answer for this question. Now, let us see the next question. In the next question, as you can see here, question number 143. In which disease does mosquito transmitted pathogen cause chronic inflammation of the lymphatic vessels? Option number 1 is elephantiasis, ringworm disease, ascariasis or amoebiasis. So, we have discussed this in the chapter Human Health and Disease. We have discussed all the various kinds of disease which take place in the humans. Along with this, we have also got to know about their causative agents. So, which among them is the correct definition of this question? That is the elephantiasis. So, option number 1 is the correct answer for this question. So, elephantiasis are the disease which take place because of the inflammations of the lymphatic vessels, and it take place because of the organism that is called as the Wucheria bancrofti. Wucheria bancrofti. And the mosquito is the Culex mosquito that we have already discussed in the chapter, right? So, option number 1 is the correct answer for this question. Now, let us move on to the next question. In the next question, as you can see here, question number 144, the similarity of bone structure in the four limbs of many vertebrate is an example of homology or convergent evolutions or analogy or adaptive radiations. So, we have very clearly discussed this in the chapter evolution. So, which among them is the correct answer for this question? That is the option number 1, homology. So, homology is the correct answer for this question. Now, let us see the next question. In the next question, that is question number 145, it says that the conversion of milk to curd improve its nutritional value by increasing the amount of vitamin D, vitamin B12, vitamin A or vitamin E. So, this is a direct question from NCERT textbook of the chapter Microbes in Human Welfare. So, what is the correct answer for these questions? That is the option number 2. Vitamin B12 is the correct answer of these questions. So, you know that during the conversion of the milk into its curd, what kind of bacteria it needs? It needs lactic acid bacteria. Like for example, lactobacillus. So, these are the organisms which convert the milk into its curd, and during that process, what is the nutritional value of the curd? That will be vitamin B12. So, vitamin B12 is the correct answer for this question. Now, let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, as you can see here, question number 146, which one of the following population interaction is widely used in medical science for the production of antibiotics? Option number 1 is commensalism, option number 2 is parasitism, option number 3 is mutualism, or option number 4, that is amensalism. So, we have discussed all this population interaction in the chapter organisms and populations, that was in the last part of the chapter. So, we have got all this term, that is commensalism, then parasitism, mutualism, amensalism. So, which among them is the correct answer for this question? Option number 4. So, amensalism is a kind of population interaction which is widely used in medical science for the productions of antibiotics. So, I hope you have remembered that amensalisms. Now, let us see the next question. In the next question, as you can see here, question number 147, all of the followings are included in ex situ conservation except wildlife safari parks or botanical gardens or sacred groves or seed banks. So, this question is from the chapter Biodiversity and Conservation. So, which among them is the in situ conservations? Because in this question the options which are given are all included in ex situ conservation. So, we have to pick out the in situ conservations. So, which among them will be the correct answer for this question? That is the option number 3, that is the sacred groves. So, sacred grove is a in situ conservation, while others are what? Others are ex situ conservation, but the sacred groves are in situ conservation. Alright? Okay. Now, let us see the next question. So, in the next question, as you can see here, question number 148. Match the items given in column 1 with those in column 2 and select the correct options given below. So, here two options are given, column 1 and column 2. Eutrophication, then sanitary landfill, snow blindness, zoom cultivations, and in column 2, UV radiations, deforestations, nutrient enrichment, and the waste disposals. So, from which chapter this questions has formed? This question have come from the chapter environmental issues. So, there we have got all this term which are given in column 1. Now, let us see the answer by matching the column 1 with column 2. We have got that eutrophication, which means the nutrient enrichment, then sanitary landfill, which means waste disposal, snow blindness, which occurs because of UVB radiation, and zoom cultivations, it forms deforestations. So, which among the following options are the correct of this question? That is the option number 2. It is correctly matched. Okay. Now, let us see the next question. So, in the next question, as you can see here, question number 149, what it says that in a growing populations of a country, pre-reproductive individuals are more than the reproductive individuals, or reproductive and pre-reproductive individuals are equal in number, or reproductive individuals are less than the post-reproductive individuals, and option number 4 is pre-reproductive individuals are less than the reproductive individual. There we have discussed the distributions of age pyramids in human populations. So, which among them is the correct answer for this question? That is the option number 1. In the option number 1, it says that pre-reproductive individuals are more than the reproductive individuals. So, that is the growing populations of a country. So, I hope you have remembered that chapter very well. Okay. Now, let us see the next question. In the next question, as you can see here, question number 150. Which part of the papaya plant is used to obtain the drug smack? Flowers, roots, latex, or leaves? So, this is a direct question from the chapter Human Health and Disease. So, there we have discussed the drugs and alcohol abuse, and we have discussed how the drugs are formed. So, smack, that is the common name of brown sugar, or what we call the other name is heroin, right? So, the common name is smack, and this is formed by the acetylization of morphine. And which part of the papaya plant are used to make this? That is the option number 3, latex. So, latex is the correct answer for this question. So, I hope you have remembered that part. Now, let us see the next question. In the next question, as you can see here, question number 151. Hormones secreted by the placenta to maintain pregnancy are HCG, which means human chorionic gonadotrophin hormones, then HPL, which means human placental lactogen, then progesterone or prolactin, or these are the other options which are given. So, we have discussed this in the chapter Human Reproductions. In the last part, we have discussed what are the various hormones which are secreted by the placenta during pregnancy period, right? So, what is the correct option for this question? That is the option number 2, HCG, which means human chorionic gonadotropin hormones, and HPL, which means human placental lactogen, and estrogen and progesterone. So, these are the hormones which are secreted by the placental mothers during their pregnancy. Okay. Now, let us see the next question. You can see here question number 152, the contraceptive Saheli There are 4 options given. Option number 1 is it blocks the estrogen receptors in the uterus, preventing eggs from getting implanted, or it is an IUD. IUD you remembered, that is intrauterine device. Then option number 3 is increase the concentration of estrogens and prevents ovulations in females, and option number 4 is it is a post-coital contraceptive. So, we have discussed all the various type of contraceptive methods in the chapter reproductive health, right. So, Saheli, what is the correct option for this? That is the option number 1. So, what does Saheli do? Saheli blocks the estrogen receptors in the uterus and it prevents the egg from getting implanted. Okay. So, this is the correct option for this question. Now, let us move on to the next question. So, in this question number 153, as you can see here, the amnion of mammalian embryo is derived from, there are 4 options given, ectoderm and mesoderm, mesoderm and trophoblast, endoderm and mesoderm, or ectoderm and endoderm. So, this question is from the chapter human reproductions, and you know what do you mean by amnion? Amnion is the innermost membrane which encloses the embryo of the mammals, right, and that amnion is derived from the mesoderm on outer side, and on the inner side it derives from the ectoderm. So, which among them is the correct answer for this question? Option number 1. Option number 1 is ectoderm and mesoderm. So, these are the embryonic layer which derives the amnion. Okay. Now, let us move on to the next question. Now, the next question, as you can see here, question number 154. The difference between spermiogenesis and spermiation is, so this question is from the chapter human reproductions. So, there we have discussed about the gametogenesis process, and it is of 2 types, that is the spermatogenesis and oogenesis. So, there I have described all these 2 terms, that is spermiogenesis and spermiation. So, I hope you have very clearly remembered the definition of these 2. So, the first option says that in spermiogenesis, spermatids are formed, while in spermiation, spermatozoa are formed. Is this the correct definition or the difference of these 2? No. So, that option is incorrect. Next option is in spermiogenesis, spermatozoa form the Sertoli cells are released into the cavity of the seminiferous tubules, while in spermiation, spermatozoa are formed. This is also not a correct answer for this question. So, this should also be cut out. Now, last option number 3, in spermiogenesis, spermatozoa are formed, while in spermiation, spermatids are formed. This is absolutely wrong statement. And in the last option, you can see here, in spermiogenesis, spermatozoa are formed, while in spermiation, spermatozoa are released from Sertoli cells into the cavity of the seminiferous tubules. So, this is the correct answer of this question. So, if you have to know the difference between spermiogenesis and spermiation, so what do you mean by spermiogenesis? Spermiogenesis is the process in which the spermatozoa, that is the sperms, are formed, while in spermiation, which means the release of the spermatozoa from the Sertoli cells into the cavity of the seminiferous tubules. So, here the option number 4 is the correct answer, and rest option number 1, 2 and 3 statements are the incorrect answer for this question. So, I hope you have remembered that part. Now, let us move on to the next question. In the next question, as you can see here, question number 155. Which of the following options correctly represent the lung condition in asthma and emphysema respectively? Option number 1 is inflammation of bronchioles and decreased respiratory surface. Option number 2 is increased respiratory surface and inflammation of bronchioles, and option number 3 is increased number of bronchioles and increased respiratory surface, and option number 4 is decreased respiratory surface and inflammation of the bronchioles. So, this question is from the breathing and exchange of gases. So, while discussing the disorder of the respiratory disease, there we have got this term asthma and emphysema. So, what is the correct definition of this two? That is the option number 1. which says that asthma, which means the inflammation of the bronchioles, and because of this there is a difficulty in breathing and there is a sound that is called as the wheezing sound take place in the asthma patient. And emphysema, which means the decrease in respiratory surface. So these are the two definitions of asthma and emphysema. So I hope you have remembered that part. Now let's see the next question. Now in the next question, as you can see here, question number 156. Match the items given in column 1 with those in column 2 and select the correct options given below. So in option, these are options given, and in column 1 it is given tricuspid valve, then bicuspid valve and the semilunar valve, and we have to match this with column 2, which are given between the left atrium and left ventricle, between right ventricle and the pulmonary artery, or between the right atrium and right ventricles. So this is a very easy questions, and this is from the chapter Body Fluids and Circulations. So while discussing the human circulatory system, that is the heart, we have got all these three terms, right? Tricuspid, then bicuspid valves and the semilunar valve. So let's match this column 1 with the column 2. So after matching this column 1 with column 2, what we have got? Tricuspid valve, which is present between the right atrium and the right ventricles, whereas the bicuspid valve, it is present between the left atrium and left ventricle, and the semilunar valve, which is present between right ventricles and the pulmonary artery. So from the given options, which is the correct order of this? That is the option number 1. So option number 1 is the correct answer for these questions. Now let's see the next question. Now in the next question, as you can see here, question number 157. Match the items given in column 1 with those in column 2 and select the correct options given below. So in column 1, all the terms are given like tidal volume, then inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume and the residual volume, and column 2, all the values are given. So this question is from the chapter Breathing and Exchange of Gases. We have discussed all these terms in respiratory volumes and capacities. So we have to match the column 1 with the column 2. Now let's see the result of it by matching the column 1 with column 2. So after matching this column 1 with column 2, we have got this result: tidal volume, which is of the range 500 to 550 milliliter, then inspiratory reserve volume, which is 2500 to 3000 milliliter, then expiratory reserve volume, which is 1000 to 1100 milliliter, and the residual volume, which is 1100 to 1200 milliliters. So we have got all these terms in those chapters. You can refer to the chapter for more details and the definitions of this. So what is the correct answer for this? That is the option number 3. So option number 3 is the correct answer for this question. Now let's see the next question. So in this question, as you can see here, question number 158, you have to match the items given in column 1 with those in column 2 and select the correct options given below. So in the column 1, glycosuria, then gout, renal calculi, glomerular nephritis, and in column 2 all the definitions of these diseases are given: accumulations of uric acid in joint, mass of crystallite salts within the kidney, inflammation in the glomeruli, presence of glucose in urine. So this is directly from the chapter excretory products and their eliminations. So you have to match the column 1 with column 2, and in column 1 all these disorders are given. So after matching the column 1 with column 2, we have got this definition: glycosuria, which means the presence of glucose in urine; gout, which is the accumulations of uric acid in joints; then renal calculi, which is a mass of crystallite salts within the kidney; and glomerular nephritis, that means the inflammations in the glomeruli. So which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 4 is the correct answer for these questions.